And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 8th round of the second season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series as we return to you live on another Sunday night presented by Full Send Racing Network. What a night we are in for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And, well, first of all, off the bat, unfortunately, we will not be having our All-Star Race event tonight. As it was announced last week, we were going to be doing a doubleheader here at both the road course and the oval, one official points scoring race and one official, all-star race that didn't count for points but would determine our finale track. Unfortunately, due to some complications with setup this week, unfortunately the car just wouldn't work under any setup we tried for the oval setup and the road course this week. Unfortunately, it is only the road course, but this will still be the official 8th round of the second season of the series, and it'll be a more typical lap count. It was supposed to be a shortened race for the All-Star night, but it'll be a full proper race tonight, and the All-Star race will be rescheduled until likely next week at a different track. Hi everybody, I am your host, producer, commentator, anything you want to call me. I am a series founder as well. Anything that has to do with this series, the Snowstorm series, or the former Carts to Computers Racing series, that is my discipline. So welcome everybody for another great race tonight. Unfortunately, again, due to a very busy weekend, a number of complications, I was able to make it back tonight in time to get everything set up, but unfortunately not my live camera. So we are going to be putting another Marshall wearing his cardigan sweater, the weekly occurrence now, in front of, well, virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway. And that is where we are tonight for not the oval, not the Homestead-Miami Oval that has played host to the finale for NASCAR for many a year to this point. No, instead we are here for the road course, and what a road course it is. Commonly underused. You never really see it in enough series, not nearly enough, but tonight we do run it for our race here at Homestead, and we are just coming to the end of practice. As you can see on the top left, only 5 seconds left until we get started in tonight's qualifying segment, but there is your points leader. Andrew Bedrossian just finishing up his practice efforts. The driver of the number 5 has been great this season, and he's coming off a win last week at Road America, his 3rd of the year, that put him back in the series points lead. And speaking of which, we're going to go straight to your series points, and that way we can give you some context if you're just joining us tonight for the first 7 rounds of the season, and maybe give you an idea of who you need to watch out for tonight in our race at Miami. So there you go. There are the championship point standings as we watch Andrew roll off in the background to get started for tonight's 10-minute qualifying segment here, as we always do on the broadcast here for the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. But there are your point standings heading into tonight's race. 284 points leads the series. Driver of the number 5, Andrew Bedrossian, has had just a start to finish, maybe not consistent all the way through in terms of on-track results. He's had his issues, he's had his incidents, but nonetheless, he comes away with great performances almost every week, and that is why he leads the points by 14 over Nick Nickerson this season. The rookie who comes into the season with, all the poise in the world, doesn't look like a rookie in the slightest, looks like a series veteran who's been driving this car for a number of years, but he's very new to the Formula Renault, and he's also very new to the series, but he is still second in points to this point in the season. Just what a year it's been for Nick, and the question really has to become, what is it going to take to slow him down if he can really get the luck to go his way, which it hasn't this year, and will he be able to track Andrew down with a little bit more good luck going his way? Trevor Anderson behind that, 5 points back, and that is really your battle for the championship between the 3 Americans that lead our series. Then you drop back to Michael Nickel, Max Preston, David Paxa. Max Preston unfortunately will not be with us neither tonight nor next week, so unfortunately his chances at the overall championship have probably gone, but it'll still be exciting to watch him throughout the rest of the season. And then further down the list, you'll see the rest of tonight's running order. James Donk at the bottom there, who is currently 18th in points. He returns tonight. He is back after a couple weeks hiatus, so we will have a full 16-car field tonight in tonight's race at Homestead. And hopefully next week, with the return of Max and hopefully Rich Foligno, we should hopefully be back up to somewhere in the ballpark of 18, 19 cars, which would be incredible, as next week we are back to the ovals. And what an oval race it should be. But yes, unfortunately tonight, no all-star race event to speak of, but it is still going to be a great race tonight. Homestead-Miami Road Course. We'll talk more about it in just a moment. We'll give you some track details presented by CanadianMiniIndy.com, but we will talk about them in a moment because Canadian Mini Indy is our proud sponsor, the sponsor of many a segment on the channel, on the series. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to I haven't been able to get my information out to Canadian Mini Indy to do some posts for announcing when races are going to start the weekend before, just because it's been very busy and unfortunately haven't been able to send the info off. So hopefully you guys have found your way here tonight. But going forward, we will make sure that information is properly out and get some names going for next week, because it should be a great race next week at Iowa, going back to the ovals. But Andrew Bedrossian is going to be our first qualifying time of the day. Tim Salvatore immediately goes to the pole over him. Justin Lulick actually going to jump up to the second spot there, driver of the number 55. Great start for him. And it's Nick Nickerson crossing the line here, going to 7th, just didn't get it all tied up that lap. Trevor Anderson should have been pretty quick on that last time by, and well, he was, but his time will not count. James Donk further back, just finishing up here, and his time, unfortunately, will only put him 8th, but again, it's only the first lap. Guys are still getting warmed up. Marshall Crocker Sr. just finished his lap time. Well, let's go to a guy who was still finishing up the lap. We're going to go on board with Fred Zufelt here as he finishes up the last couple corners, coming off the, I believe that's corner number 8, back onto the oval section of Homestead-Miami, well, the oval track itself. Now he comes back onto the road course, taking this left-hander, a lot of curbing in there, and then this technical final couple of corners, this left-hander right where pit road is, you see on the left side, and this final chicane, actually he's going to dive off, will not finish the lap. So we're going to go on board with Andrew Bedrossian, again, series points leader. He's running a great time so far, wasn't fast in sectors 3 or 4, but the best of anybody in sector 2. Down to the line comes the 5 car. What will he be able to do on this attempt? Does he improve? Let's see. He does not, it would seem. So unfortunately, those two, the 3rd and 4th sector, just were not fast enough to give him a competitive time. Michael Nickel, winner at Indianapolis this season, he is going to put himself up into the 6th spot there, behind Mitch Morrow and Tanner Dignard. Mitch Morrow, of course, getting his first podium of the season last week. Nick Nickerson, what a lap time. 1:10.703. That is going to make him the provisional pole sitter. Has yet to score one on the season, you know, regardless of his consistency and his pace. Just unfortunately, this so far this season hasn't got it all hooked up in qualifying, but tonight could be the night that changes. Trevor Anderson is going to jump up into that 3rd spot. He is going to leapfrog a couple drivers. So now it's Nickerson, Salvatore, Anderson, Dignard, and Lewick. A couple drivers still finishing up the lap right now. Tim Salvatore, who currently sits in 2nd, jumps ahead of his series rival Andrew Bedrossian, as well as a couple other drivers there into the 2nd spot. That 91 car, it's been a really up and down season for him, but the pace has absolutely been there from the start. And we were lucky enough to actually co-commentate alongside him for our race at Indianapolis. And that 91 car is getting ready to go. I think he's letting a couple cars by, giving himself some room, maybe trying to find a couple drivers to sit in behind and get the slipstream on. Andrew Bedrossian finishes up his lap time. Where will he go to? The provisional pole is where 1:10.605. I was going to estimate, I think about a 1:10.4, 1:10.5 is going to be tonight's pole time. And right now, a 1:10.6 is the benchmark. Dan Skilton in the 13 car goes up into 8th. A really good race from him early on last week at Road America, but in the end, unfortunately, things kind of fell apart. Gonna go to Marshall Crocker Sr., who's gone around the 15 car off the final turn. Unfortunately, does get loose and loses it off the final turn on what was otherwise going to be quite a good lap. Tanner Dignard off the final corner. The 51 car to the line. Should be a good time. Don't know if it'll move him up. It won't, but he does improve. Is going to run in the 1:11 range. Whoa, out of the way. He jumps out of another car that is just dove down in front of him as he came up to turn number 2. James Donk is going to improve his time, but won't improve on the leaderboard. Christopher Mitchell does not manage to finish off the lap, so unfortunately he will not improve, but Christopher Mitchell is the one of 5 drivers who has yet to register a lap time. Now 4 drivers, as Paxa, Zufelt, Hillier, and Mitchell yet to finish a lap. But here comes Bedrossian again off the final turn. Your series points leader, can he get his 5th pole of the season? He might be able to, but he is not going to improve on that lap. So 4 minutes to go. Who is next up? Michael Nickel just crossing the line as we speak. Can he improve from 7th? Don't believe he will. No, going to stay 7th for the time being. Mitch Morrow is pretty quick, but Nick Nickerson coming across the line this time might have a chance. And he does. 1:10.597, only 7 thousandths to the good of Andrew Bedrossian. But it is enough to give him provisional pole at the moment. Fred Zufelt finishing up his lap that time by. Only going to go 12th, but it was only his first attempt. He's got a couple more laps to try. Marshall Crocker Sr., we go to him again, was on a good lap. Personal bests, but loses it off the edge. I think that's turn 12 right before the pit entry. Just loses it a little bit. Has to well, he's going to have to jump back to the pits if he's got damage. So unfortunately, that lap will not come together. Watching a couple other guys finish up, and guys, I think on these older tires as they start to go, just not able to run the same times they were earlier. So it makes you ask, you know, what is Andrew Bedrossian, that 5 car, going to do to find that extra 7 thousandths of a second to Nick? Was not fastest on his own personal best in sector 1 and 3, was in 2 and 4. No purple sectors though. Could this be a good enough lap time? Gonna be close. I don't think it's good enough. It is actually 1:10.57, so really found something there in that final sector, and we'll see if it's going to be something Nick Nickerson can replicate here. We're going to go on board with him on the gyro cam as he comes through the final turn here, up to the line. No, again, it's going to be a 1:10.9 in that vicinity, so not quite good enough to improve. Trevor Anderson off the final turn, the former points leader as of last week, now in 2nd. That should bump him up a spot. It doesn't actually. He's going to improve his lap time, but does not improve overall on the timing tower. So There we go. Good lap time from Trevor there, but just wasn't enough. The bar set so high at this point in the session that he's going to need a little bit more than that if he wants to go any higher up than fourth, as Tim Salvatore's time only just off the provisional pole set by Andrew. Now David Paxa is going to run 13th, so he's a couple seconds down, but might not be a bad plan to start towards the back and just try to make it a race of attrition, just try to get through some of the chaos. And I think that is probably going to be his plan. Justin Lulick runs that time, and what a lap that, if it had counted, would have been particularly impressive, but unfortunately it does not. So he's going to stay in 6th for the time being. Christopher Mitchell, though, just about to finish up a lap as Andrew comes across. Don't believe he is going to improve, but Christopher Mitchell will run his first lap here. He's pretty far off the pace, so this, if it counts, will only go to 16th, but he's got 1, maybe 2 more lap attempts to go for maybe even a top 10, a top 5. We've seen some good performances this season in qualifying from Christopher. We'll see if we can see another one tonight. But through the first corner he goes. Nick Nickerson back to the top. We were just about to jump back to him, and he does beat Andrew's provisional pole, 110.484. Just hooked it up that lap, and that 2 car finds a way. So clearly some guys, I thought it was just a case of with the older tires, nobody was going to be able to find more time to improve on their laps, but it appears Nick has done so, and at least for the moment, while we wait for some drivers on good lap times to finish up their laps, we're going to go on board here with Nick Nickerson as he runs through the middle of the infield here at Homestead-Miami. This road course section uses a lot of the dedicated oval, but also uses a portion of the infield road course. We see David Paxa go up to 10th on the leaderboard, bumping out David Lakey. So you see on the left side, every driver except Christopher Mitchell has run a time so far of the 16 drivers running tonight's race. And Andrew Bedrossian, we're going to have to cut to quickly. He was fastest of anybody in the second sector, but no other sector. Will he improve? Doesn't look like he will. It's quick. Is it going to be enough? It is not. Does not improve on his personal best time. Very close, though. So he's got 1 more attempt. Nick should get back to the line in time as well. He'll go for 1 more try. It was fastest of his personal best in the third sector, but no others. Can he improve? Yes, he can. 110.3. That is a blistering lap time. Nick has just got it fired up here at Homestead-Miami. He is finding time everywhere, it would seem. Now, Fred Zufeld going to come across the line. Can he improve from 14th? Across he goes. Going to be a 112.7. That's better, but no, it will not improve upon his personal best lap time. So he is going to stay 14th provisionally. Nobody running personal best sectors anywhere on track. So it looks like this might be Nick's first pole of the season. The only question mark is Andrew Bedrossian. We're going to go on board with him as he comes off the final corner. 1 more try. No, sorry, that's off the corner on the backstretch. So 1 more time through the final set of corners here, but no personal best for him anywhere in the first 4 sectors. He needs to run perfect here, just attack that final apex. He does. That was a great final sector, but the question is it enough? Gets a little bit wobbly there. No, it will not be enough. Runs a 110.8, a great lap, but not enough to beat Nick. So at least for now, we have a new provisional pole sitter and a guy that might get his first pole of the season after what has been a very up and down year, but a very fast year for Nick Nickerson. Mitchell finally gets a time off. That'll be a good one too. 111.4, that'll put him up to 7. So Christopher Mitchell didn't set many times early on in the event, but once he finally did, ran a great one. Going to go off track in the aftermath of that lap. But Fred Zufeld, the final driver on track, and he is now off. Qualifying has come to an end, and what a qualifying session it was there. What a series of laps we saw there. But we have a first-time pole sitter this season. Not just this season, but first in series history. Nick Nickerson, that number 2 car, will be rolling off the standing start in the first position. Just waiting for our final results to be uploaded after qualifying, and then we will get to your starting grid for tonight's race here at Homestead-Miami. And we'll have to go pretty quick because it is a standing start, no warm-up. And we're going to go straight into it. There we go. Qualifying results have loaded. And that means we can show you your starting grid for tonight's race here at Homestead-Miami Road Course for the 8th round of the second season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. We're getting ready to go here. You see Andrew Bedrossian's perspective as he looks back. Nick Nickerson just waiting for our pole sitter to get on the front row. But let's give you the rundown tonight of your starting grid on the pole. The number 2 of Nick Nickerson starts alongside Andrew Bedrossian. Tim Salvatore starting in 3rd with Trevor Anderson alongside him. There we go to round off the top 5. Tanner Digner had a great lap towards the end of that stint. He is going to run in the 5th position. Justin Lulick to his outside makes his return tonight. The 55 car just ahead of Christopher Mitchell. Michael Nichols starts alongside him on the 4th row. David Paxa and Dan Skilton, your 5th row at the moment. Then Mitch Morrow, last week's podium sitter, finished 3rd at Road America, his first in series history. Tonight, he looks to make it 2 in a row, starting in the 11th spot, just inside of David Lakey. That's Marshall Crocker Sr. starting in 13th. Fred Zufelt starting alongside him. James Donk will start in the 15th position. He makes his return tonight alongside Jack Hillier, also back in the car after commentating last week at Road America. And there you go, your starting grid for tonight's race in the 8th round of the season at Homestead-Miami. We are waiting to go here. The timing is ready. Just waiting for Mitch Morrow to get in the car, and then we are good to go. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, as always, to tonight's race here in the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series. Mitch Morrow is on the grid. We are ready for the countdown. Feel free to put your winner pick, anything you want to talk about in the chat. Let's get it going. But let's get ready for tonight's 50-lap race here at Homestead-Miami. Lights are out, green flag, and what a start from Andrew Bedrossian, the 5-car. Absolutely gapping the field to turn number 1. Nick just did not get going. That 2-car struggled a little bit getting up to speed there. Down into the first turn. A number of drivers getting pretty good starts. Tanner Dignard already up to third. Nick is off. Very first turn through the second or third turn of the race. Third turn and the 2-car is off for what is probably, I think, the third or fourth time this season. We've seen so many times this year Nick get bumped off, spin off in the first turn on cold tires, and it's happened again. The 2-car already on the back foot just corners into this race tonight at Miami. Tanner Dignard, the biggest beneficiary of that first lap by a mile, but even bigger, Andrew Bedrossian, the championship leader, and an absolute fine start. One of the finest you'll ever see. Just absolutely took off there heading down to the first turn. We'll show you the replay on that in just a moment, but behind him, Tanner Dignard settles in second, and what a start for him. Went from 5th to 2nd in only half a lap. Then it's Justin Lewick ahead of Tim Salvatore, who's dropped back from 3rd to 4th, I should say, in this very first lap. Christopher Mitchell was quick at the end of qualifying there, and he's carrying that pace into the race as he currently sits in 5th, moving up 2 spots from 7th at the start of that lap. Trevor Anderson's down 2 spots from 6th to 4th. Mitch Morrow, after that, sits in 7th at the moment, up 4 spots from 11th in qualifying. What a start it's been for him. We saw James Donk go off track briefly. Christopher Mitchell has gone off track somewhere. Yes, he has. He's gone off the end of turn number 2, so the 94 trying to recover, and he gets back on. Relatively few spots lost, only down to 10th, but what was a great start in that first lap has now kind of soured for Christopher Mitchell, but he will now try to regroup and charge forward. Nick Nickerson at the back of this little pack here. Remember, he just went off at the start of lap number 1, and we'll go back to the replay to see why, but up down the inside goes the 2-car. Off in the exit is David Lakey, the guy that Nick teamed up with at Indianapolis. A number of drivers having struggles here early on in the event, but David back up to speed, and he will let him by. James Donk has gone to pit road. We're going to go in a minute to see what happened with him. So we got a couple replays to go through, but we're going to settle in for some racing. First, Nick Nickerson trying down the inside of Marshall Crocker Sr., heading down to the hairpin turn, but we'll think better of it. Back out, and now settles into the 12th spot. But what a first lap it's been. A number of drivers still in close battles on track. The first and most notable being the battle for 3rd between Justin Lewick and Tim Salvatore. Tim going right to the wall there, trying to get any speed he can off the exit of the final turn. Here's the onboard of Tim Salvatore, driver the number 91. Will he go to the inside on Lewick? Is he going to try it? He'll try it up to turn number 2. Gets a lot of curb. Does he give him the room? He does. Great piece of driving there from Tim Salvatore as he moves up into the 3rd spot. Justin Lewick now going to have to hold off Trevor Anderson, former points leader this season, but Justin's got the pace to do so. We've seen that before in the series. Will it work out for him tonight? That is the question. So what a start it's been. Bedrossian, Dignard, Salvatore, Lewick, and Anderson, your top 5. Then it's Mitch Morrow, Michael Nickel, Dan Skilton, and David Paxa will round off your top 9. Then Christopher Mitchell trying to recover from that little incident off of turn number 2 in 10th. So what a first lap it has been so far. Looking a little ways further up, Andrew Bedrossian, we're seeing internet troubles from Andrew. This is something we haven't seen in a couple weeks. We have a policy about this in the series now, about how a certain amount of blinking will force race director Chris Farrar to make a decision where a driver could potentially be suspended from the rest of a race. So hoping that doesn't happen tonight, as we saw on the timing tower. At least Tanner Dignard temporarily was considered your race leader there after Andrew blipped out, but he has now gotten back in the rhythm and should continue on. But Tim Salvatore now running some pretty good lap times, trying to catch up to Tanner Dignard, trying to track down his, well, really series rival at this point, Andrew Bedrossian, who currently leads the race. And if you remember back a few weeks ago to Monza, that on-track incident between Tim Salvatore trying to chase down Andrew Bedrossian, miscalculated a move into turn number 1, caused a wreck between the two. We're hoping not to see something similar tonight, but Tim Salvatore is only a couple corners away from potentially rekindling that battle. So in a moment, we're going to go to all those replays we need to talk about from earlier. But as we wait for this battle to heat up between Mr. Tim Salvatore trying to chase down Tanner Dignard, let's first go to your race details for tonight's race at Homestead-Miami Road Course. Deep on the brakes is Tim Salvatore up in the box above, but for just a moment here, we'll talk about tonight's race. So, opened in 1995, Homestead-Miami. We are using the high downforce setup tonight. We're using the Road Course A configuration. The sun is setting here in the sim for the time of day. Down to the inside, up top goes Tim Salvatore. Side by side we go through turn number 10. Tim Salvatore gets the better of that exchange. Great piece of driving from the 91. And Tanner Dignard still in the top 3, but falls back into 3rd. As I was just saying, to finish up, we are in partly cloudy conditions here tonight, so maybe going to improve the track grip just a little bit from maximum sunlight. That would make the track a little bit more slippery. But yeah, the sun is going down, as you can see here in the background at Homestead-Miami, 3.56 kilometer circuit. We are running 50 laps tonight rather than the 30 it suggests there, so somewhere closer in the probably 160 kilometer range for tonight's race duration. 14 turns, and after this, unfortunately, not the All-Star race as was initially planned, but next week we do go to Iowa, and hopefully we will have a doubleheader with the All-Star race included in that broadcast. But yes, Tim Salvatore now up into the 2nd spot ahead of Tanner Dignard, who now has to hold off Justin Lewick and Trevor Anderson. And Trevor is really just a guy that we've seen in this series many times who can kind of just sit in the background, you know, just it becomes somebody that you, as a driver, definitely somebody you're thinking about as he sits right behind it, but he's not somebody who's going to make those deep lunges, those big active moves, and it's paid off for him this season. That consistency in the points is the reason he's only 22 back of the series championship lead, and that could be improved tonight depending on how the race goes for Andrew and Trevor respectively. But Trevor sitting there in 5th, trying to track down Justin Lewick, and he's getting close. You see here through this final couple of turns, that final chicane with the very high curbs that is really tough for any driver not accustomed to, you know, high curves in this car. You can try to attack as much as you want, but if that back end gets wiggly on you, which is pretty prevalent here in this car compared to a lot of others on the service, then you could run into some trouble. So hoping we don't see that tonight for Trevor Anderson, but if he can keep the you know, kind of racing style nice and calm, he can keep his racing line, minimize risks, and just sit behind Justin Lewick, maybe wait for a mistake, that might not be a bad way to go for the driver of the number 25, and he's getting close. But as we come down to this braking zone here for what I believe is turn number 7, now turn number 8 here, this right-hand kink up to the long down the middle straightaway, unless he wants to start using DRS, which he has 8 uses of, I think he's going to have to wait a little bit longer for that move on Justin to come to fruition. And for the moment, that time is not now. That was a very good run up to the hairpin turn here. We'll see what sort of runoff he gets as he attempts to chase down Justin on this straightaway. This might be his chance. The question is how much push to pass, like DRS, does he want to use now, and how much does he want to save for later? Took a peek down the inside, doesn't pay off. Now through the final set of turns here, turn number 12 up to turn number 13, the right-hander, and 14, the left-hander in the chicane. Trevor really having to back up as Justin, I think, missed the apex there a little bit in turn number 12. Gonna try again. Here goes Trevor. Is this the opportunity to use the button? Try to get by Justin as quick as possible. Down to the inside. Aggressive move on the inside. Forced to the curb a little bit. Justin with a bit of a defensive move to the inside. Trevor trying not to lock up as best he can. Justin really racing him hard here in the first couple turns of this lap. But nonetheless, they both stay on. Both keep it clean here early in the race at Homestead. So now 7 laps into tonight's event. What a race it's been so far. And again, 50 laps, each lap taking about 1 minute and 10. Shouldn't be a very long race tonight whatsoever, but it's definitely going to be one that is not easy by any means for the drivers. Guys, we're talking about it all week in practice, how tough this track was to run any laps at. Trevor Anderson down to the outside, going into the hairpin. Well, Justin Lewick on the inside with a 55 car put up much of a defense. He's going to go deep on the brakes, but it might not matter. Trevor Anderson gets the overcut to perfection. The 25 and the 55, a drag race down the backstretch. Up to turn number 10, here we go. Which driver will come out on top? The left-hander, Trevor Anderson, has the inside lane, gets it done. Can Justin fight back? He's going to try it on the inside. Tries the over-under. Will they come together? They do! Justin sends it underneath. Contact between the two drivers, bouncing back and forth. Trevor puts the nose on him. The two drivers not happy with that exchange, you can imagine, whatsoever. And as the caution come out, it may have. It has not for the time being. It was an on-track incident, but it will not be. Yes, it will. Caution does come out. There it is. So it was a little bit early, didn't show up on my telemetry, but the caution has come out, and that incident was that was high-speed racing at its finest. But in the end, high-speed racing can definitely have some negative consequences. So we're going to go to a bunch of replays. We'll go back to the replay of the start in this set of replays, but first we have to talk about your full set racing replay presented by CanadianMiniIndy.com. Let's get a replay of that incident. So down the inside goes Justin, just washes up into him. It was a very aggressive comeback move there. Trevor was as wide as he could go. You know, there was nothing the 25 is going to do there. That was just Justin getting very aggressive on the inside, washing up into him a little bit and causing the contact there. And you almost see, let's get this from Trevor Anderson's perspective here. So we're going to watch in his cockpit, see what he sees. You just see the 55 slide up into him, turn him here. I think he brakes and then left crank to spin him around. That was some frustration that you rarely see from Trevor Anderson, but you know, fairly so. There was nothing 25 was going to do there, and just kind of forced him off there a tad. We're going to go from Justin Lewick's perspective one more time, but a big move. You know, Justin almost fought him back there. I was impressed that he was even able to get it up the inside, heading down to turn number 12, but he comes in here and just takes too much curb, runs into the 25, and thought he was home free almost. Tries to take the corner and then just gets punted around by the 25. And actually the biggest beneficiary of that incident was Mitch Morrow, the driver of the number 66, who is going to get a couple free spots as a result. And, well, now sits in 5th. Actually, Trevor Anderson will take his spot back on track, but then after that, it is Mitch Morrow. So just about to go to your first caution, potential pit stop cycle of the day. But before that, let's go way back to the start of the race, back at the green flag, and see some of that chaos there in the very first start of the race. So let's go back to the green flag here. So again, Full Send Racing Replay presented by CanadianMiniIndy.com. You see Andrew Bedrossian, the tires already spinning there on the run up to the line. Just what a start he got. Cleared the field by a comfortable margin. Looking back here, now you're going to see the trouble for Nick Nickerson. So here is the number 2 car. Tim Salvatore, you see in the background, getting the move done on that is Trevor Anderson. Tim just gets too deep on the brakes. Nothing Nick was going to do about that. Just trying to keep it slow as he often does there, trying to stay conservative there on the cold tires. And Tim just sliding into him there down to turn number 3. Tough luck there for Nick Nickerson. We're going to see one more angle on that, maybe see it from Tim's perspective. But yeah, really not much Nick was going to do about that. Again, I think he was in a pretty good lane. You know, he was just trying to stay out of too much trouble, trying to let Tanner by on the outside, and just bang, the 2 car getting mollywops pretty good there on the run down to turn 3. No caution, of course, as it was a single car incident, as Tim was unaffected in terms of, you know, he stayed on the track. He did lose a couple spots, as you can see. Christopher Mitchell and Justin Lewick both getting by in that incident. But yeah, one more time, we just got to see that start from Andrew, because what a jump he got. Like, that was a textbook, picture perfect start for a standing start here in a Formula Now. What a run he got. Just the lights go out and no hesitation. He is on the gas and fires it down into turn number 1, and just like that, he was your race leader and has been since that point to this point in the race. So now we go back live, and the question is who has pitted and who is going to, and it's everybody down pit road this time by. So Andrew Bedrossian's in. Right behind him, Tim Salvatore comes in, so the 2 championship rivals will both head into their pit boxes. Tanner's in, Trevor's in, Dan Skilton, as he was last week at Road America, your first driver not to take a pit stop at this point in the race. So it paid off pretty well for him last week. We'll see if it pays off for him tonight. But yeah, Dan Skilton here, trying the alternative strategy again, which I don't think is such a bad plan. You know, it worked for him last week in terms of giving him track position. In the end, it didn't pay off enough to give him the race win. In the end, it did put him in a good spot, but unfortunately a spin from him kind of put him out of contention there. But here we go, the race off pit road. Who is going to win it? Andrew Bedrossian out first, then Salvatore, Dignard after that. Anderson and Nick Nickerson going to make up a couple spots. He goes by Mitch Morrow, driver of the number 66, who comes out in 10th. Christopher Mitchell after that, Michael Nickel, and Marshall Crocker Sr. rounds off the run down pit road. David Lakey, your final driver out, as well as Jack Hillier and the 44, who caps off that run of drivers coming out of pit road. And James Donk here, what lap is he sitting on? He's 2 laps down at the moment, and no lucky dog pass on the road courses. So his best opportunity is to try to capitalize on some wave rounds, try to get in good position to try to get those laps back somehow. But yeah, Dan Skilton there is going to lead us to our next green flag restart. Should be the start of the lap after this one. So the caution came out on lap number 8. We are now on lap number 10. Should go green at the start of lap number 12. Well, we're going to go to your first quick commercial break here of the race at Homestead-Miami as we wait for the last lap of our caution period to go. So again, as usual, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for everybody for coming out to tonight's race here at Homestead-Miami. Again, unfortunately, not the All-Star race we were anticipating, not the one we were hoping for, but we will have the All-Star race nonetheless next week. And for tonight, we just have a really fun race at a really fun circuit and a track where the sun is setting rapidly. You know, we actually extended the time of day for this race tonight, hoping to keep the visibility as high as possible. If we get some cautions, that could become a question mark. So hoping tonight it stays relatively bright, but you're already going to start to see the visibility dropping a little bit as the race goes on. But For the next couple laps, we're going to go to a quick commercial break here, and we will be back in just a moment here for the side-by-side action at the Full Send Racing Network coverage of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series second season, round 8, at Homestead-Miami. We're going to go side-by-side, and we will be back in just a moment. Well, as our caution break comes to the end here at Homestead-Miami Road Course for the 8th round of the second season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series, we are about set and ready to go. But as I was going to mention there before the caution came out, let's all, if anybody has any thoughts, anything they want to mention, any guesses they have for who could come away with the win tonight, who they think is going to have a great performance, now is the time to throw it in the chat. We can talk about it a little bit and give us something to go over for a potential second caution. But here we go, the pace car off to pit road. Dan Skilton in control of the field, and he takes us to green here at Homestead-Miami Road Course. So the great jump from both he and David Paxton. David Paxton, the 53, looking to the inside, and an attempt at the pass for the race lead there into turn number 1 did not pay off. He's going to back off into turn number 2. Justin Liu going to follow him in. Now turn number 3, the top 4 separated by very little ground at all, only a second between your top 4 drivers, and then it's Andrew Bedrossian, the first driver to pit on that last caution period. But here we go, Andrew Bedrossian, driver the number 5, on the attack, as he often is, down the inside of, whoa, that David Paxton goes around, caution, multiple drivers involved, immediately a wreck. Nick Nickerson tries to get by, he gets tangled in it. It's a car pile up here, and turn number 6, a parking lot if you will. What a wreck. Yellow number 2 of the race, and it happens in style. Holy cow, what a series of events there, as Dan Skilton, the only driver really unaffected, maybe Justin Lewick. But we got to see what happened there in turn number 7, because what a pileup, my goodness. Let's go back here quite a ways. There's a lot to go over, so I don't even know where to start. Here we go, we're going to go to the Full Send Racing replay. It all starts ahead of this. So Trevor's issues were entirely separate here. The 25 car just came in. I'm imagining probably saw the chaos happening up front and to the right and backed out to avoid it. But what we really want to see is that action with Andrew Bedrossian and David Paxton. So let's go to David Paxton's perspective here. Driver of the number 53 as he heads down to turn number 7. Down to the braking zone. Comes in with a lot of speed. Locks up the front right. And there goes Lewick, Zufelt. Bedrossian gets in it later. Salvatore, Dignard, Mitchell, Morrow, everybody came in one after another. That was the 53 of Paxa completely missing a front nose. Let's go to Andrew Bedrossian's perspective here. Going to go on board with the driver of the number 5. And Andrew typically very aware, very sensible, very good at making moves to avoid wrecks. And that time, he just had nowhere to go. Tanner Dignard went up his outside, and wow. What a start there. Didn't even have time to turn the music off there before that wreck came out. So Andrew Bedrossian got back up to speed, but you can see the way his steering is bent there. I'm amazed if he got that car back to pit road. We will see as we speak. He did not. Andrew Bedrossian did have to tow back to the pits, and that is huge because, well, that is a huge amount of time that you lose, not coming down pit road under your own power. Maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and that 2 minutes could be what it takes to put him a lap down. So the guy that was on pole, or not on pole, it felt like he was on pole for tonight's race, but started in second, had an incredible start, was in first place by turn 2, and just like that, his day gets considerably harder as, again, the sun continues to go down here. The track's starting to get dark here at Homestead. There is no infield lighting here at Homestead. There is lighting on the sides of the traditional oval. There is not on the track, and I was planning this race again for 30 laps. We extended the time a little bit, but the sun's still starting to set here at Homestead-Miami, and well, the front nose is missing on David Pax's car, so he's clearly got bigger things to worry about. But he was talking about earlier this week just how hard the brightness was to deal with here at this track as the sun starts to go down. And if that is once again the case tonight, that could be very tough to deal with. And I'm hoping that we get back up to green flag racing relatively quickly and keep the yellow flag laps to a minimum. But Dan Skilton there had a pretty good start. He didn't quite get the jump necessary to keep David Paxa too far behind, as where he's going to head down pit road this time. Same with Tim Salvatore once again, may have gotten caught in that last wreck. Mitch Morrow was going to follow him down as the third driver down pit road. Obviously David Paxa going to need to use a quick repair as the front nose is missing on that number 53. Marshall Crocker Sr. down pit road. James Donk, who's 2 laps down pit road. And Trevor Anderson, championship contender, comes down as well. So as Fred Zufelt passes this time by, unless Andrew Bedrossian can get out in time, that should mean that Fred Zufelt will become your race leader by a full lap over the driver that was leading prior to that wreck. So wrecks can change everything. Yellows can be massively affecting here in the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series, and that is what we're seeing tonight. Your second of the race, and it is Fred Zufelt that now leads from Justin Lewick and Tanner Dignard. What a top 3. And to a certain extent, what a top 4, because Nick Nickerson, regardless of being tonight's pole sitter, which was an incredibly impressive lap time, that was a time that I think was only beaten once this week in practice. That was a great lap from him. It put him on the pole, but unfortunately that first couple of turns, as we've seen many times this season for Nick, just did not go his way. And unfortunately it put him behind the 8 ball early, but he's since recovered, as he always seems to do. He did it at Imola, he did it at Mid-Ohio, I think he did it a couple weeks ago at Road America as well. Actually, that was last week. So Nick always finds a way back, and he's done it again tonight. And now he sits in 4th behind a couple of drivers that I don't want to say aren't up to the caliber of Nick Nickerson. I mean, they didn't run the comparable times in qualifying, but I think just guys that maybe have less experience right at the front of the field as Nick does, at least in this series. And that is going to mean that Nick has some interesting faces to try to get by here if he wants to take home his second win of the season. But having rival Andrew Bedrossian, who is now back up to speed and out of pit road, having him in the equation a lap down is going to make it significantly easier for Nick to try to, break off some ground. And even if Andrew gets back on the lead lap, which he's going to be hard charging to do, at least it'll give Nick Nickerson some time to break away a little bit and try to build up as much of a lead as he possibly can. The light's still on the pace car here for a number of drivers, so we might go to an in-car interview here with somebody if we got somebody available. Maybe let's jump to the driver of the number 2 himself. We're going to go to Nick Nickerson here and talk to him about what has been a very chaotic start so far, but could potentially be a great rest of the race. Hey, Nick, it's Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You get a copy?
Oh. Hello.
Oh, hey, Nick, sorry, you got a copy? Hey, Nick, Marshall from the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
How's it going, man?
There we go. Sorry about that. We had some brief tech issues, but Nick, what a first 14 lap start to the race it's been for you. First of all, just what seems like the billionth time this season you've had some trouble on an opening lap, not by your doing. Just talk us through that first couple corners and what went wrong with Tim.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it was just everybody getting in the corner very hot. I was trying to take it conservatively. I mean, there's not much I can do about that on my point. I didn't want to crowd the guy that was in front of me, and I was going to maybe try to pass him into that. What is it, like is that a hairpin up there? I don't know.
Yeah, sort of.
Whatever the next turn was. But I mean, everybody's racing behind it. I mean, it's not a big deal. It happens. Just sucks that it happens 2 races in a row. But here I am. I mean, it's been a pretty cutthroat race so far, so I'm going to try to get in front of these guys and hold it off. But I got enough fuel to make it to the end, so we'll see if I have enough car.
Yeah, that is the question. You got some guys in front of you that are definitely quick, but maybe less experienced being at the front of the pack. So definitely, you're second in the points this season. It's definitely a race that it should be in your favor, especially with Andrew now being a lap down because of that last incident. But I want to talk to you as well about the visibility is going to be a question mark that I hope doesn't get much worse tonight. This session, originally the race meant for 30 laps. We extended it by a half hour, but if we get more yellows, the sun's going to start going down. You're an experienced driver in the ovals. You know Homestead quite well. How do you think the visibility and how do you think the track is going to change as the sun goes down here in the sim?
Well, I missed one of the practices earlier this week, but I ended up ghosting it. So I was there. I think there was one like Thursday or something, or Wednesday maybe. And I heard everybody complaining about it, but I had no problems with visibility. So I don't know if it's just like depends on the monitor I use in the settings, but I'll have no problem with it. So looking forward to it then.
Awesome. Well, we'll get set up here. Get a couple corners left to go, but I think that favorable conditions compared to a couple road courses this season, and you got some time. So take your time there. Don't get too aggressive like some other drivers in the series, and just do your thing. And I'm sure we'll be talking at the end of the night.
All right, man. Talk to you a little bit.
There we go. Just a quick little in-race interview with our second, our series points runner-up, Mr. Nick Nickerson. And like I'm just saying, I really think Nick is the guy that, in terms of the championship fight, is probably going to benefit most from the events of that last caution, as he is now going to sit in the 4th position behind a couple of guys that, again, are very quick. Fred has had an incredible rookie season so far. In his debut, he finished in 5th this season, and he's had plenty of performances to that caliber this season. Justin Lewick, many times a podium sitter in this series, whether it be Car Computers or Snowstorm. And then Tanner Dignard behind him. Tanner Dignard, somebody that has absolutely had his days in the series. And certainly a number of top 5s for him, has come very close to the podium many a time. So not guys that are easy to beat by any means, but Nick is going to be at a caliber of quick if he can get some lap times off that is going to be tough to beat. But Fred Zufelt will lead us to the green here for the 3rd time today, a Homestead-Miami road course after a caution. Jack Hillier coming down pit road. But here we go as the lights turn on here at Homestead-Miami road course. The lights starting to go down to turn number 2. Justin Lewick, Tanner Dignard, Nick Nickerson, and Christopher Mitchell all through clean. David Lakey is through fine. James Donk has gone off track. Same with Jack Hillier somewhere further back. A couple guys moving aside. Mitch Morrow has had an incident. We're just looking at names here on the telemetry. Mitch has gone around. So has James Donk. We stay green. Mitch might be stranded on the curb, though. You see that number 66 just unable to get it moving. He's trying to spin the tires. Heartbreaking, as this is valuable seconds he's losing as he sits here on the curbing. Still, we stay green for the time being at Homestead-Miami road course. Justin Lewick now up to the race lead. Where did Fred Zufelt go? Okay, he's dropped back a couple spots, but what happened to your at-the-time race leader, who is now falling back? Further back, David Lakey. Michael Nickel up the inside of him. David Lakey going to lose a spot as he gets passed around the inside. Tim Salvatore trying to go with him. So spots, they are a-changing here at Homestead. Down the inside goes Tim Salvatore, the 91 car, down to the inside of the 84. Side by side, down to the corner, back off of the banking. Tim Salvatore gets it done, back up into the 7th spot as his charge back towards the front continues. But Justin Lewick now at the front of tonight's field. And what happened to Fred Zufelt as this battle between Tanner Dignard and Nick Nickerson continues? The 51 car trying as hard as he can to hold off Nick. But unfortunately for him, your 2nd place driver in the points, your series runner-up, is now by, and the 2 car moves into the 2 spot again after getting wrecked in the ferry corner we just went through, turn 3 at the start of the race. What a comeback it's been for Nick. Tanner Dignard further back has gone off. You see the 51 car just seconds after we watch him as he gets passed by Nick, moves down to the 3rd, still a good spot, and unfortunately he goes off the exit of turn number 3 down to turn number 4. He's back up to speed, but you can see the damage to that front right nose cone, the front left I should say, of Tanner Dignard. That's going to lose him some spots. Now Christopher Mitchell is off. Just a number of drivers having struggles here at the very technical Homestead-Miami road course, and there is the yellow. Just too many incidents. Unfortunately, race director Chris Ferrara did have to throw the yellow. So just what a night it's been. Holy cow, there was, again, so much to go over there on that stint. Got to start with the most obvious issue of all, that being, what happened to race leader Fred Zufelt off that green flag. So we're going to go to that pass first, and then we'll see what particular incident would have brought out the yellow flag here. But back we go, trying to see who Justin Lewick took over the race lead. When did he do that? There it is. So here's the pass for the lead there at the start of this stint. So the 55 coming up to turn number 3. Whoa, big lunge down the inside for Justin Lewick, but it pays off. Nice clean move for him. Fred moves aside and gives Tanner Dignard the line. gives Nick Nickerson the line, and then Christopher Mitchell down the outside, I think made it one more, unless Fred held him off, which he did. So no, he did not. Nice late move by Chris. That was where the contact initially happened. Fred kept it on track, but as we always say in this series, it's a momentum game. And once the momentum was against him, unfortunately, Fred just kept going backwards. But here we go. Here's the onboard from Mitch Morrow. Here was his trouble just a moment ago. That's Jack Hillier on the inside. That up front is James Donk. And James Donk's wreck, I think, forced both Mitch Morrow and Jack Hillier to react. So here's the rundown for them down to turn one. Here comes Morrow. Hillier just cuts across as Donk's trying to... Donk's trying to get out of the way as he slides across. So what happened to James Donk in the rundown of that corner? James was already 2 laps down at the time of that wreck. So here's James. Andrew, here he comes around the outside, just clips him. Andrew just gets into the back of the 7 car, clips that rear right. James was quite a ways up the track, but Andrew was just trying to find an opportunity to get by in that moment. Did, but unfortunately caused a wreck in the process. So that was what stranded Mitch on the curb. What happened to Christopher Mitchell then? He was the next driver who was having some trouble. Here is the driver of the number 94. This is the rundown to turn number 7 on the infield. Here goes the 94, turn number 7, just lost the back end. Yeah, I don't know if it was cold tires or just a bit too aggressive of a steering maneuver there, but whatever it was, he went off, and then Trevor Anderson followed him not too long after. What happened to Trevor? We're just going to do the full rundown here. Looks like we're piecing together a crime scene. This might be a crime of sorts. What was that from Andrew? Holy cow, what a dive that... Okay, I'm sorry, we got to see a replay on that. Just... Wow, that was the furthest back I've ever seen somebody go for a passing maneuver. Wow. Okay, Trevor Anderson is not going to be particularly happy with anybody in tonight's race. The second time this race, he has just been absolutely walloped by another driver. So that was the wreck that brought out the yellow flag. That wreck between Trevor and Andrew. So what a 2-lap segment that was. Justin Lewick, still your race leader. We'll see who comes down pit road this time. Nobody coming down pit road because, the exception being Christopher Mitchell, Tanner Dignard, and Trevor Anderson. All 3 drivers who I would imagine probably need repairs more than fuel or tires. So guys who unfortunately have not had the luck go their way tonight as we come towards the halfway portion of this race in just a couple laps time. Yeah, Trevor Anderson currently sitting in 3rd in the points coming into tonight is pretty big buffer back to 4th. But definitely not the start to the night he was probably hoping for, in a night where his championship rivals have also not had the luck particularly go their way. Of course, Nick, the guy who's only 5 points back up in the championship standings, went off in the 3rd turn of the race overall. And obviously, Andrew Bedrossian, who still currently sits a lap down after his struggles earlier on in the race. So, yeah, just not the night you're well, again, I keep wanting to call him pole sitter, but it's just because of how great that start was in the very first turn. Started in 2nd, but was in 1st by turn 1. Yeah, Andrew, this is the kind of night he's had to avoid for his championship, his run at the championship. And this is what I've been saying all season. It's just that patience. Just take your time. He's a guy that has insane pace race after race, but just makes those mistakes, gets in wrecks that other drivers maybe wouldn't. And that's what's proved so tough for him this season. And that's the reason he's currently sitting in 14th in a field of 16. So really hoping he gets it figured out the rest of the night. But Mitch Morrow has just gone off and he's jumped back to the pits. What happened to Mitch Morrow? Moves aside to let a couple drivers by, and does he just coast to a stop? Like, what went wrong here for him? Just stops it on track. I don't know if he's done for the night, if he's just done racing, but whatever it may be, he is now off the racing surface. So he's out of tonight's event. So Mitch Morrow trying to follow up last week's, again, incredible performance at Road America. Like, that was one of the best rookie performances we've ever seen in this series. Nick Nickerson's debut win would definitely be up there, but that debut podium in only his 7th race in the series, that would have to go up there as well. Actually, later than that, because Mitch wasn't with us for the very first race of our season. But unfortunately, Mitch Morrow is our first casualty of the night. Only 15 drivers remain in tonight's race, but again, the leader of which is Justin Lewick here, sitting in the first spot. We're going to check once again in the drivers up in the Discord here, see if we can get an interview with somebody. I think for the 2nd caution in a row, we're going to go to the driver in the 4th position heading into our next restart, Mr. Tim Salvatore. We're going to hop in the broadcast booth with him and see if he has any words before our next restart. Hey, Tim, Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Marshall, how's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty well tonight, Tim. We're just going to hop up in the booth with you for a couple laps here as we wait for the caution to come to an end. But Tim, what a night it has been so far. I'm going to call it battle of attrition early, but somehow we still have 13 drivers on the lead lap. Just from your perspective tonight, the sun's going down, visibility got to be a question. It's already a very tough track. What's the story of the race been? And from a driver's perspective so far, 19 laps in?
Yeah, I think it's just all about driving smart. I mean, I had a little bit of a moment there of not driving smart right at the start there. Just kind of laid on the brakes and tapped Nick. But yeah, second incident there was kind of just trying to avoid cars, but when they're all across the racetrack, sometimes it's hard to avoid. But back up in fourth, I know two of the three guys in front of me haven't pit, so Nick and I are on the same strategy here. I don't know if the other two are going to have to pit now with all these caution laps. They might be able to just go straight to the end. But yeah, it's like you said, war of attrition. I don't think this is the end of the cautions.
No, I'd say you're definitely right about that. And well, now the question is, what does this mean for you in the championship? Because you've missed, unfortunately, a couple races so far this season. You're kind of out of it as far as the overall title goes. But you want to talk about guys doing well in the points around you. You know, Andrew now sitting a lap down. Nick is up there in second, but Trevor Anderson's down in 13th. You've got some room to go here in the championship standings. What becomes the goal? Are you just trying to maximize points tonight? Do you think you're still in a place where you could go for your first win in the series? Just from your perspective, what's the goal tonight for the 91 car?
I think just maximize some race results. I don't foresee myself being able to fight in the championship just with the missed races, and I'm gonna be missing the race at Mossport, which is very disappointing as well. But because I know that track would be super strong for me, but I'll just keep, you know, every race that I'm able to attend, I'm gonna try and finish as close to the front as possible, and maybe one time I'll get that first win. But it seems to always be just out of my grasp.
Well, we're waiting for it tonight, Tim, and you're in a great spot so far. You got a couple guys ahead of you that I know you can definitely keep up to in terms of pace. So I wish you the very best of luck. We're going to let you get started for the green flag stint here, and hopefully this will be the last time we're in the yellow flag stint here. But as you said earlier, I'd imagine it will not be. So best of luck, Tim. Well, maybe we'll be talking to you post-race, and yeah, just best of luck for you tonight.
Thanks, Marshall. We'll talk to you later.
There we go. Tim Salvatore sounds pretty ready to go here, sounding confident. Again, apologetic for that incident in the very first turn of the race there with Nick Nickerson, but you know, things happen. He's always a very apologetic guy. I know Tim's a clean racer, and I'd imagine that'll be the last time we see him make contact with the car tonight. So Justin Lewick, driver the number 55, will lead us to green here for the fourth time tonight at Homestead-Miami Road Course. The pace car off onto pit road, and we are green. 30 laps to go here at Miami, and Justin Lewick leads us down into turn number 1. Tim Salvatore gets by Fred Zufelt almost immediately off the restart. We jump up to the front to watch that battle between Lewick and Nickerson, and just like that in the second turn, Tim Salvatore ticks off another one. So Fred Zufelt being very careful tonight to just stay conservative, let guys by when they get an opportunity. And now the question becomes, can he hold off Dan Skilton, who's looked pretty quick tonight, former race leader under strategy earlier in the race. Michael Nickel went off track for a moment there earlier in the 23, but he has since jumped back on the line, and he is now going to retake his spot in 13th. Jack Hillier battling it out with Tanner Dignard. Down to the inside goes the 44 into the hairpin. Holding on for the time being. Can Tanner get the run off the corner? The 44 and the 51 side by side off of the hairpin turn up front. Nickerson has just got by Justin Lewick. The 2 car very quickly making that move into the front spot. But Tim Salvatore trying to go with him. The 91 car trying to capitalize on the momentum there and track down the 55. We're going to go to a replay in just a sec to see how Nick got by. But back to this battle with Tanner and Jack. Did Tanner get by? He did, and Jack Hillier this time. The 44 will head down pit road. But back to that pass for the lead there just a moment ago. Let's see the replay here. Full Send Racing replay presented by CanadianMiniIndy.com. Side by side goes Lewick and Nickerson, and just down the middle, right down the inside goes Nick Nickerson into the right-hand kink there on the infield. Did Justin fight him back for it? He did. He got himself back in the slipstream, but thought better of the move, backed out, and just like that, just a nice clean run down the inside of that corner. Nick just nailed turn number 7, got a much better runoff, and he is scooting away there, already a full second up on Justin Lewick, who now sits in second. Will now try to defend and fend off Tim Salvatore, who is hard charging in that 91 car. Again, the light's starting to dwindle here as we continue on at Homestead-Miami Road Course. Just very low visibility even for me at this point in the broadcast. Starting to go down. Here comes Tim Salvatore down to the inside. Well, visibility not a problem for him. Justin's going to try to fight him back. Almost contact between the two, but he holds on to the spot. Tim, the back end going on him a little bit. but he keeps the car under him. Stellar piece of driving there from the 91. And Tim Salvatore, who we talked to just 2 laps ago, back when he was in 4th, well, he is now in 2nd. What a start to the stint it's been for Tim Salvatore. He is finding his way through. David Paxa further back has had trouble. The number 53 car missing an entire rear wing. Another driver has gone down due to an incident. What happened to David Paxa, who now gives up what was at the time, I think, 6th spot, maybe 7th spot. Now it is the 12th spot. Just lost it. Just got loose off the final turn. Where did that rear wing go? That's where it went. Backs into the outside wall there off the turn. So one more replay there. Maybe going to go from his perspective. See what went wrong there for David one more time. We're actually not going to go from his perspective. There's the first curb, turn number 13, number 14. That was weird. I don't know what I'd call that. Maybe I mean, checked up a little bit because David Lakey in front of him didn't get the run off turn number 14 that he did. But wow, just again, another bizarre wreck that doesn't seem to have much reasoning behind it. David Pax, a guy who's had a very up and down season so far. He got his first career podium at Indianapolis earlier this season. But since then, unfortunately, the luck has just not gone his way. It didn't last week, and unfortunately, it does not there either. So Tim Salvatore now gets to work trying to track down your race leader, Mr. Nick Nickerson. We'll start comparing the lap times of these two guys because these are two guys that I think on paper should probably run fairly comparable lap times the rest of the way. But as we come to the halfway point in this race, again, look at the sun start to set in the background here at Miami. Again, the track, the infield not lit here. So, you know, visibility, trying to see the apexes. It might get tough for some guys on certain tech setups, and I'm really hoping it doesn't. But that is definitely going to be something to keep in mind here if you are one of these drivers here running in VR or some sort of system that is maybe a little bit trickier in the visibility department. But now Andrew Bedrossian is going to move up a spot as Jack Hillier in behind him pits once again in the 44 car. So Andrew Bedrossian in the 5. Again, not on the lead lap. He's still going to have to find a way all the way back past your race leaders if he wants to get his lap back. Then needs a caution. Then would be back in contention for potentially a top 3, top 5. But right now he's up to 12th, and after going a lap down just a couple laps ago, that is not a bad place to be considering the circumstances. We're just going to check in on the YouTube side of things. If anybody has any comments, any guesses they want to make, anything they want to talk about, anything at all, as always, feel free to throw it down there in the YouTube chat, and we will go over it towards the end of your race. But just what an event it's been. You know, 3 guys that have all been on the podium before in this series, but it's definitely been a race of a lot of new faces, you know, proving their abilities. I think nobody exemplifies that better so far than Tanner Dignard, a guy who's definitely had pace tonight, and a guy who I definitely think can start rattling off some slightly improved laps towards the end of this race if he can just kind of get in a rhythm once again and put that 51 car to its maximum use, something he's done many times in the past. So Tanner Dignard, we'll see what he can do so far tonight, but he's had a pretty good season so far. You know, he's been a little bit up and down at times in terms of the overall, you know, championship standings. He's had a lot of finishes at the very end of the field due to wrecks and due to various chaos, but he is sitting at 142 points. A good performance from him tonight, and he could move up as far as like 9th or 10th in the points. You know, he can move up 3 or 4 spots, and that's the thing about how close this championship battle is for everybody, is because, you know, there is always an opportunity to improve if you could rattle off some good race results. You know, it must be very nice as a driver in a shorter season to immediately see payback for, you know, your efforts and your great race results. You're paid back by improving in the points overall. Somebody has gone around. That's Christopher Mitchell, I believe, made contact with Marshall Crocker Sr., who now wrecks. The 15 and the 94 coming together. No caution as of yet, but they have both gone off. Marshall Crocker Sr. trying to recover back onto the track. So we'll go to the lap time comparison between Nickerson and Salvatore, which is important. Salvatore is closing on Nickerson for the race lead up front. Let's go to the Full Send Racing replay for, what may be the 15th time in tonight's event to see what happened there between Crocker and Crocker and Mitchell. So there's Michael Nickel in the background going down the inside of Marshall Crocker Sr. Crocker holds him off. It was separate incident up front that caused that to get kicked off. So Marshall Crocker Sr. missing his front nose as he just gets tagged in that incident. Nothing he was going to do about that. This is what we want to watch. So David Lakey in the 84, the run down to the hairpin. There you go. Just, wow, really woes it up there in the center of the corner as he tries to avoid the outside apex. Just maybe cut it a little bit too close on entry, cut it in a little bit too tight. The back end just locked up and put him a little bit too slow in the middle of the corner, and that was what caused, I think, Christopher Mitchell to speed up and make that contact. So a couple of things involved there, but Marshall Crocker Sr. was the guy that took the worst of any of it. David Lakey, a little bit of damage you see to that rear wing, but still in the top 10. He comes out of it the best of anybody that was involved. Michael Nickel managed to scoot by as he was kind of in that relative ballpark of the track at the time. but he did manage to make it by without any incident. So I'd imagine both Crocker, Lakey, probably Mitchell all going to be down pit road this time and going to repair their damage, hopefully for the final time of this race. But back to what I was talking about just a moment ago here, the comparison between Nickerson and Salvatore in terms of lap times. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Tim Salvatore, the faster of the two on each of the last 4 laps, including running the last time by, I believe, the fastest lap of the race, a 1:10.7. So we'll put up on the timing tower on the top left the fastest lap of the race for each driver on track. There you go. So the fastest of anybody, as I just mentioned, a 1:10.763 by Tim Salvatore in second. Just in front of him, a 1:10.8, the fastest lap of the race for Nick Nickerson. But there is Tim right behind, now within 7/10 of race leader Nick Nickerson, and that is going to be close enough to get within the aero, range where he can start using the slipstream to make up a little bit of that time, where he doesn't need to just rely on DRS. Though I would imagine we're going to see Tim start to get on the button in just a moment. So he is absolutely nailing that last corner. I'm amazed how hard he attacks the apron. All week in my testing, I've tried to avoid it as best as possible to maximize that runoff onto the front straight here, but Tim is not following that same methodology. And now 23 laps to go here. Tim has got time. He's just got to calm it down, settle in a little bit, maybe try to force Nick into a mistake. But the driver of the number 2 car is not a guy who makes mistakes frequently. There's the onboard from the perspective of Nick Nickerson. You just see how close that guy in second, Tim Salvatore, is getting. And they have really put the gap back to Justin Lewick since the pass Tim made on the 55 car a couple laps before. Dan Skilton has actually fallen into a pretty good rhythm. He is only at about a second, maybe 1.5 back of Justin Lewick, and now down the inside of him goes Andrew Bedrossian, who is still a lap down, but is trying his very hardest to get his lap back. That's going to put him about 11 seconds back of your race leader, Nick Nickerson, just to get his lap back, and then he still has to get a full another lap after that. But nonetheless, really impressive the improvements that the 5 car has made since that earlier incident, and we know he has pace. We saw it at the beginning of the race. I think he led the first 10 laps, so we know Andrew's quick. It's just, unfortunately, some of his decision-making tonight has put him behind the 8 ball and means that he needs to be battling to get back in the lead lap rather than leading from pretty much start to finish like he did last week at Road America. But back up to the front, we got to talk about this battle for the race lead, because that is going to be the story of this portion of the race for sure. Now 22 laps to go. Lap traffic might come into play, but no, it does not. Jack Hillier's just going to move aside. Good man on him. Just does the responsible thing, lets the lead battle continue without any interruption, and well, that is the last thing I think Tim Salvatore wanted to see, because now his pace is kind of stalled out. I mean, still quite quick. You see that number 91 car there, probably going to nail the apex. He does, running beautifully. Like Tim Salvatore, his driving this season, similar to a couple guys like Trevor Anderson. What's another notable name? I mean, David Pax has been very quick, but the pace from Tim all season has just been extremely prevalent. He's coming out to more practices. He's finding more time to put in practice laps, and it's paying off. And tonight, again, could be the time we finally see that first Tim Salvatore win that has been in the works for a while. Again, I don't want to jinx him, but he has come close many a time. Marshall Crocker Sr. finally coming down pit road there with that front nose damage. Surprised to see it's been this long. He made a number of laps work without a nose on that number 15 car. So finally comes down pit road. I'm impressed he made it that many laps. The question is, does he not have a quick repair? Is that why he was waiting so long? Because he's been in a couple incidents, just one of those incidents that brought out the yellows that involved a number of cars. We'll see as he pulls onto pit road if he has one more. He does, so he's going to take a quick repair there in that 15 car. Still on the lead lap as we speak, but no, that may not be the case anymore, and it is not. He has just gone a lap down and has been passed by the number 5 car of Andrew Bedrossian. So Andrew now up into the 11th spot. One more car and he's in the top 10. We're going to let the engines of the cars do the talking for a little bit here. I want you to hear the amazing engine sound of these Formula Renault cars, and we're going to do kind of a, if you want to call it, a crank it up here for a couple corners as we watch this battle between Tim Salvatore and Nick Nickerson escalate with only 20 laps to go left in the race. Well, there you go. Hopefully giving you guys an opportunity to hear the sound of these Formula Renault 3.5 cars, just the high horsepower adrenaline that you feel running these race cars around a track like Homestead-Miami. Just so many opportunities for such, great high-speed racing where you really let the downforce do the work. And it is incredible to watch these cars in action. To see them in real life would be even cooler. But in the sim, they are driven by guys that know what they're doing. The top two now lead by 17 seconds. And this battle to the win, to the line, essentially, is going to be so much fun to watch. Less than 20 laps to go now. I think that's 19 this time by. Tim has got time. Again, they're both good on field to the end. It's just a question of overall pace, but Tim's got to take his time, set the move up, make a high probability move. Because if these two guys come together, suddenly it becomes a Justin Lewick, Dan Skilton, and Fred Zufelt podium, which would be fascinating. Now a Trevor Anderson podium, provisionally, if that happens, because Fred Zufelt's getting passed by not only Trevor Anderson, but Tanner Dignard almost got the move done there, right behind him. Tanner now on the attack, and we talked about him plenty tonight. Didn't have the track position on that last restart, but he's had the pace since. This could be an opportunity for Tanner to show what he's made of. Now to the hairpin corner. Whoa, the 10 car really slows up in the exit, and he's around. Fred Zufelt tapped by Tanner Dignard. Right as, again, we talk about that momentum. Fred Zufelt loses one spot, and suddenly, in what has been a great race so far for that number 10 car, suddenly he finds himself all the way down in 8th. Is David Lakey going to be not too far behind? Here comes David into the hairpin. So Fred just gets tapped there, slows up a little bit on the exit of the corner, tries to block up the apex, and that's fine. But unfortunately, it meant that Tanner Dignard, who was trying to attack as much as he could, try to prioritize his runoff on the end of the next straightaway. Unfortunately, it meant that he finds himself in the back bumper of the number 10 car. So Fred Zufelt going to stay out. Clearly not enough damage to bother with a pit stop here, but that is terrible luck for the 10 car, Fred Zufelt. But again, still top 8, and what a drive it's been for him so far. Been really impressed with what I've seen from him. So with 4 races left in the season after tonight, plenty more opportunities for him to finish the season in style. But back up to the race lead. Some support for Nick in the chat there from Hayden Paul. Thank you, Hayden, for shouting out Nick. And you're my hero, and in some ways, he is my racing hero as well. I've watched this guy, Nick Nickerson, for a number of seasons now in a variety of series, and that is a very deserved title there of hero, because he has just been an incredible, whether you're talking about the Bandit Racing League for the 2 seasons I've watched him, and then off to this season, of course, winning his debut in the series, something that is unheard of, has never happened, aside, of course, from the very first race in series history, when I think first ever winner, Logan Paxa, eventual 3-time champion, he did it in his very first race, the first race I ever hosted in the original Snowstorm or Carts and Computers racing series. But since then, the only other driver to win in his debut is Nick Nickerson, and what a job he has done so far this season. But again, Tim Salvatore, since about lap number 25, when I think Nick took over the race lead, Tim has just been on the attack. We'll check the lap time comparison in just a moment between these top 2 to see what Tim is doing since he caught up to Nick in terms of lap time. But I think Tim is doing what I said he should do just a couple laps ago, just settle in, focus on consistency rather than high-end pace and big aggressive moves, and he's done so far. So Tim Salvatore doing everything he needs to, keeping it within about a half a second, and forcing Nick to be the guy to drive under pressure. And it is, I promise you, for those of you that have not driven in a sim, not driven in real life, I promise you, it is so tough as a driver to drive with somebody right on your back bumper at all times. You're looking in the rearview mirror, trying to make sure they don't make a move on your run up to a corner apex. You just don't want to be surprised by some guy at the last minute making a move, and Tim Salvatore, not the kind of guy that would usually do that. But don't forget, he is a guy looking for his first career win in the series, so you got to think about it. No, Nick goes around! A mistake from the 2 car right as we start talking about him, uncharacteristic as anybody. Nick has gone around just seconds after we hype up the number 2 car and everything he's done so far in this race. The front left nose. Look at the damage to Nick Nickerson's car. There's damage to the front wing of that number 2. Can he make it back around under pace? Should be able to, but again, uncharacteristic mistake as anybody. If there was anybody on track that, of course, besides that pressure from Tim, I thought was going to wreck, the last guy I would have guessed is Nick Nickerson. Just so consistent all season. What happened to the driver of the number 2 car? Down into turn 3, took a lot of curbing, and just the back end did not recollect itself. You can't get too hard on the curb in these Formula Renault race cars. The back end just never gripped up to the racetrack. And just like that, he found himself looking backwards. What a earth-shattering revelation. What a just massive outcome that is for the overall race result, because now still finds himself in second, but now he's 6 seconds back, has damage. Tim Salvatore now moves up into the first spot with only 15 laps to go, looking for his first win in series history, and suddenly he's not the guy chasing the leader, he's the guy running away. Justin Lewick goes around as well, your second driver in the top 3 this lap to have some troubles. Justin Lewick collects it, gets it back going, does the quick spinorama U-turn off the final corner, but he's around again. What is going wrong here at Homestead-Miami Road Course? 36 laps in, we thought guys had worked it out. We thought everybody was comfortable with the track by this point, but Justin Lewick, 2 quick mistakes, and suddenly goes from 3rd to 6th with significant damage to both his front and rear wing. Through the final 2 turns here, 13, 14, the left-hander just lost grip out of nowhere. I don't know what went wrong there for Justin, but even weirder, the next corner. We're gonna go on board here just to see Justin's perspective. But it wasn't an aggressive angle. You know, he comes in, takes the curb, takes the left curb, he's fine, gets a little bit too hard on the gas, and the back end just jumps around on him. But, okay, so he does the flick turn, tries to get back up to speed, still in 4th at this point, no real damage because it was just a spin, and then just walks it up and goes right. Like, these race cars, I promise you, the Formula Renault is so fun to watch, they're so quick, they have downforce for days, but they are extremely tough to drive, and you just saw 2 of the best drivers in the series back-to-back have massive troubles keeping it under them. That tells you everything you need to know about the style of race car and the style of race you're watching here at Homestead-Miami Road Course. But just what a tragic event for Justin Lewick there, back-to-back times in one corner, and doing it in the very last corner of the race after the pit exit means that this will be the first opportunity he has to come down pit road and make repairs. Impressed that he's got it around, still in 6th position with all the damage to that number 55, but now we'll bring it down pit road, and Fred Zufelt should take over possession of the 6th position again. So a guy who had a great race to this point so far, spun around there in that incident with Christopher Mitchell a couple laps back, but now luckily we'll get back into the top 6 and will work his way forward a little bit. Speaking of drivers who are working their way through the field, Andrew Bedrossian now in the top 10, now up to 9th, could maybe even be 8th depending on how long Justin Lewick is on pit road. But Christopher Mitchell, we saw a couple laps back, had a little bit of trouble. He entered the pit lane just a couple laps ago and is hence back here in the 10th position. I think needed to make one more stop for fuel, maybe based on strategy earlier in the race. And he has done so, back up to speed, but now doing so significantly far back of the drivers in front, and now behind Andrew Bedrossian, who continues to try to make up time to the guys in front. But again, the biggest beneficiary of all this chaos in the later portions of this race, and again, it is getting dark. The lights are not really doing much for the infield here at Homestead-Miami Road Course. The sun is going down. Almost pitch black darkness for Tim Salvatore, as you see there, the sky getting extremely orange in the background. But your race leader, Tim Salvatore, looking for his first career win in the series. He has an 8.5 second lead over Nick Nickerson in second. We're going to put up your track map there on the top right, just so you can see where your favorite drivers are relative to one another on track, but no real battles anywhere in the top, anywhere, really. No real battles on track, with the exception of what is maybe a battle in the next couple laps. Tanner Dignard and Michael Nickel currently sitting in 4th and 5th, the yellow number 4 and the green number 5 there on the track map. But another guy I want to talk about, not to give all the attention to Tim Salvatore, who currently goes by, I think that's the lap down, Jack Hillier, to take over yet another position on track in his attempt to just make up any track position he can ahead of the damage number 2 of Nick Nickerson. Just going to try to run away and assure that Nick doesn't find any late race pace, because there's no point in the 2-car pitting. You know, he's got a massive gap to Dan Skelton, 16 seconds, only 12 laps to go. As long as he can keep about a second a lap or less behind Dan Skelton in terms of lap pace, which I believe he's doing, then he should be fine to the end. Let's just double check and make sure that is the case. Yeah, Dan hasn't been quicker any of those laps except for the one where Nick had his issues, although he was quicker that lap actually. So Dan Skelton, if he can rattle off some extremely quick lap times, may have a shot to go back up to that second place position. But for the time being, Dan Skelton is in 3rd, and that would put him on pace for his first podium in series history. Just 1 week removed from Mitch Morrow doing the same thing at Road America. And Dan, in his rookie season, one of the more experienced drivers in the entire sim. He has run for a number of years and a number of forms of motorsport. I don't know how many years he's been on iRacing, but he's somebody that I actually got to know last year in a series that he hosted. He would host some weekly races, often at Mosport, but eventually at a variety of different tracks. And it was such a great avenue for me to get some opportunity to race against some of the guys that you know from this series, among many others. in a different, kind of outlet. Wasn't broadcasted, but was a lot of fun. That's where I got to know him. So to be able to return the favor, invite him into this series for this season has been awesome. And Dan Skilton has just been such a fun aspect to this series since he joined, is keeping pace with race leader Tim Salvatore. And he has proved his ability, not only last week at Road America, where all week in practice he was quick, and then in the race, aside from that incident that he had that took him out of the event, he was extremely quick there at Road America too. So tonight would be a very deserved first podium for yet another driver this season, and might move him up the point standings into the top 10, maybe even 8th or 9th territory. So Dan Skilton, what a season it's been. And as long as in the last 10 laps he can combat the again extremely tough visibility. Look at how dark the track is getting at this point in the event. But as long as he can fight back against that, he can go for his first podium of the season. Again, the last thing he's going to hope for would be a caution, unless he is confident enough that he thinks he could go for the race win if he was able to get tucked up behind Tim Salvatore in the damage number 2 of Nick Nickerson. Definitely faster than Nick right now, but I think right now with that huge buffer he's got, 10 seconds back to Tanner Dignard for 4th, I think he's content to just settle in right now and bring it on home. 10 more laps to go. He can be a full second slower than the guy behind, and he would still come home for a 3rd. So I wish the very best of luck to Dan Skilton. I don't want to jinx him, so we'll head off to somebody pretty quick before that could happen. Andrew Bedrossian now only a second back of, is that Justin Lulick in front of him? It is. So a battle between two guys that only 10 laps ago were nowhere near each other on track. Remember, Justin Lulick just a couple laps back was up there in 3rd, and then he had those issues in the final turn that forced him down pit road, and now into the lap down position, being lapped by Tim Salvatore just a couple laps ago. But now it is going to be a battle for, what may have been a battle for the win in any other race. Tonight it is the battle for 8th. So Justin Lulick, he's got to hold off maybe the quickest guy on the racetrack right now. We're going to put up the fastest time of the race again for every driver there on the timing tower. So you'll see who currently has the fastest lap of the race, and that is Tim Salvatore. That 110.7 from earlier still holding out for the time being. But the 55 of Justin Lulick has been pretty quick as well, a 111.4, one of the best on track. That is just a couple tenths down on Andrew Bedrossian's best time, and well, now we can compare their last lap time, the last time by. And that was a 112.4 for Justin as compared to a 111.7 for Andrew. So 7 tenths more pace for Andrew Bedrossian that last time by. I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew was able to catch up here and make a pass relatively simply based on the way his pace has been working out right now. But maybe Justin's just going to get in more of a rhythm as this stint goes on. And internet issues for Andrew, none for Justin. So we'll see what race director Chris Ferrara thinks of the internet hiccups there for Justin, or Andrew Bedrossian's car, I should say. But here comes Andrew, has to not force a contact for everything he's worth, because, whoa, down the inside he goes. Tried it into turn number 4. Doesn't work out, but he might get a better runoff than Justin does on the run down to turn number 7. But as I was just about to say, the last thing Andrew wants to do right here is cause a wreck. You're already 8 spots back of Tim Salvatore, 7 spots back of Nick Nickerson, the guy you're battling for the championship, who already had the bonus point for pole at the start of tonight's race. So the last thing you want right now if you're Andrew Bedrossian is to lose any more spots. 1 spot wouldn't hurt though to gain down the inside to the hairpin. Justin Lulick's going to hold on the outside though, not giving up. The 55 car still in line there. They make contact. Yeah, Justin had the line. Andrew tries to clear himself a little bit too early. We're still side by side. The rundown onto the backstretch here. The usual turns 3 and 4 for the oval here at Homestead. Turn 3 back into turn number 10, back into the infield road course section. Andrew gets the pass done there that time by, but oh, Justin coming back at him. What a pass maneuver. He gets it done. Oh, okay, a little bit too wide there off turn number 14. Doesn't get it to stick, but what an attempt there from Justin Lulick. I mean, it wasn't the cleanest maneuver I've ever seen. He was by no means up to the inside of him into the braking zone there, but Andrew pulled an aggressive maneuver on him, pulling down in front of him after the hairpin, so I don't blame him for that incident all too much. And yeah, loses the spot, but Justin Lulick fought for everything he was worth there. Just took too much of the apron on the transition back up out of turn number 14. But had it not been for that, may have kept that spot from Andrew, but unfortunately for him, will not do so. Back onto the oval comes Tim Salvatore here. Next time by, going to be only 7 laps to go. Just been a dominant drive from Tim since he took the lead over from Nickerson, is pulling away by about a full second per lap over Nick, as Nick again has that damage to the front left nose. But even with the pace Tim had before that, I don't know how much it would have mattered, if Nick hadn't had those troubles, because seeing how quick he was, Andrew definitely had the pace to go for the win. Oh, we briefly paused there, and we are back live, and this battle is not over actually between Andrew and Justin. Justin is going to send it in there. Andrew he's going to have to watch it. There we go, the contact. Justin Lewick has had enough of Andrew Bedrossian. The temper's flaring. It is heating up here on the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series coverage. Andrew Bedrossian down pit road. Yeah, I never want to comment on track antics like that, where it seems like guys are getting a little bit heated, a little bit NASCAR-ish, if you want to use that term. Just gonna go from the perspective of Justin Lewick here. Again, the internet issues wouldn't have helped. Justin Lewick gets right up behind Andrew Bedrossian here. He was flying. Yeah, okay, that was netcode. Okay, we won't put that on Justin Lewick because the internet issues for Andrew, they helped him at Mid-Ohio. They helped him defend for a number of laps. That time they came back to bite him. Justin Lewick just had no idea where to go. Couldn't even see the car in front of Andrew Bedrossian. Just ran right in the back of him. So, yeah, that was not by any means the fault of Justin Lewick. That was just internet connectivity issues for Andrew, and just like that, this is the night Andrew needed to not have for his championship campaign, and just like that, Tim Salvatore now back off of the backstretch for not one final time. What am I talking about? Oh, so he's into turn number 1. Everything about that sentence was wrong. Through turn number 3 comes Tim Salvatore. Now only 6 laps to go to finish off what has been the race he has been looking for all season here at Homestead-Miami. So again, Dan Skilton still currently sitting up there in 3rd. What a race it's been for him. No faltering whatsoever. No mistakes for Dan Skilton. He is not going to squander this opportunity he's been given, and an opportunity he's really earned. And again, the visibility is starting to become a question. We're going to ride on board with Dan Skilton here as he comes through the poorly lit turn number 3. The run down to turn number 3 is very well lit, but as you can see in this section of the race, just no lights anywhere to speak of besides the actual oval itself. So Dan is putting up with it. He's using physical memory to try to find the apexes, and he's doing a great job of it right now as he currently still sits in the 3rd spot. So a Salvatore Nickerson Skilton podium would be a first-time race winner and a first-time podium sitter, so that would be a fun set of interviews for sure. But what a race it's been at Homestead-Miami tonight, and the most quiet night of anybody since that wreck a couple laps ago has been Nick Nickerson. He's not getting reeled in by Skilton, he's not catching Salvatore, he's just comfortably in 2nd. And as long as he can bring that damaged number 2 car home for a podium spot, well, it'll help him out in his championship pursuit, because he should pass Andrew, who still sits on no, he's got enough pit road, so he's still sits in the 12th spot, but I guess has the potential to pass David Paxa, who's only 30 seconds in front of him, if David has some more troubles. But I think the 53 car is now fully repaired, and I would imagine to the end of the race, David will really lock it down, really just focus on making it to the end of the race and coming home with 11th place points in a 16 car field. There are definitely worse spots to finish. So at this point, 3 drivers officially out of the race tonight here at Miami, those being Trevor Anderson, James Donk, and Mitch Morrow. But aside from that, there are only a couple of drivers on the lead lap, that being 5. That being Tim Salvatore, Nick Nickerson, Dan Skilton, Tanner Dignard, and Michael Nickel. All of your top 5 drivers on the lead lap. And that battle for 4th actually could get interesting in just a moment. We'll show the lap time comparison from Tanner Dignard to Michael Nickel. And no, Tanner Dignard has been faster all of the last 4 laps, so that is a case of Tanner running away from a battle rather than Michael Nickel reeling one in. Now to 4 laps to go as Tim Salvatore crosses the line this time by. Again, this is the coronation we've waited for so long if you're Tim Salvatore. And again, I don't want to jinx him, so I'll try to keep my my very definitive statements to a minimum here. But just, he's been faster each of the last 4 laps. Again, I know there's damage on the number 2 car of Nickerson, but he really did everything he had to. Nick's issue was self-inflicted, just made a bit of a mistake there. And actually, this very corner, trying to remember what corner Nick had his struggles in. No, that was turn number 3, where Nick got in the curb and locked it up on the run down to turn number 4. Tim took the lead there, took advantage of the situation, and since then he has just driven away. We talked to him a little bit earlier in the race under a caution, and to talk to him yet again in the broadcast booth as the final interview of the night would be pretty sweet. I know this will mean a lot to Tim, so again, we'll leave him be. I know it's obviously we're not talking in his ear up here on the broadcast, but we've seen many a times in the past we've jinxed some drivers due to hyping them up late in the race. So we will leave Tim to his devices for the last 3 laps. Now back to Marshall Crocker Sr., who now moves up into 9th. And talking to him this week tonight a little bit earlier, he said he was feeling pretty good about the racetrack overall. He said it was one that he really enjoyed. He thought suited him quite well, but just didn't unfortunately get the time to to really solidify his racing line this week to try to really go for some top lap performance, at least in qualifying, and then carry it over to the race. But he said it was going to be a battle of attrition, and he has been right. And he's really tried to avoid the most of it, besides that giant pile-up wreck earlier in the race that brought out the second caution. And since then, he's just picked off drivers one by one of only 9 drivers who is not 2 or more laps down. And as a result, he finds himself just under the top half of tonight's racing order. So wasn't feeling super great about the track in a vacuum tonight in terms of how consistent he could probably be to make top lap times. But no, he's still run quite well, and to come home for a 9th, even a top 10, and what again has really been a race of attrition that even some of the very best like Andrew Bedrossian, Trevor Anderson haven't been immune to. Wouldn't be a bad performance whatsoever for the driver of the number 15. As well, Christopher Mitchell, been a really up and down race for the driver of the number 94. He qualified in 7th, is currently sitting in 7th, but he has been involved in a number of things. Remember that contact with Fred Zufelt a little bit earlier in the race. Fred went from 4th all the way down to 11th there during this stint. Marshall Crocker Sr. now going past Justin Lewick, who I believe just came down pit road. Or no, he's gone off track. That's what's happened to Justin Lewick. So, gonna go to your full center racing replay for the final time in tonight's race. 2 laps to go for Salvatore. Here is Justin Lewick heading to turn number 3. That was a VR issue, if I had to guess, knowing that historically Justin has had some issues with his VR connectivity. That didn't look like he lost visibility of the racetrack, which I know that the VR guys said they were going to have a tougher time with the darker conditions tonight. But that was just some issues hardware-wise for Justin Lewick, and it wouldn't be the first time in series history. So again, just what looked like it was going to be a great night for Justin Lewick kind of has fallen apart since, and just really unfortunate to see. Justin is such a talented guy. He's had so many great performances in the past. I really hope he gets his issues tech-wise figured out and just picks a track that he really enjoys to go for the win at, because he's definitely got the pace to do so. You saw it earlier tonight, but unfortunately, due to a variety of factors, he is now out of contention for the race win. Fastest lap of the race last time by for this man, Mr. Tim Salvatore, coming to the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Homestead-Miami Road Course in the 8th round of the 2nd season of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series through turn 1 for the final time. And man, what a season, what a journey it's been for Tim Salvatore in this series. Again, made his debut at the start of last season of the Snowstorm Series, was pretty quick all the way through, was competitive from start to finish, including I think his first ever podium last season at Mosport, a track that unfortunately he will have to miss not next week, but in a couple weeks on March 13th when we go there for the 10th round of the season. I know he was sad to miss that race. And, well, I know that he's not going to be able to go for the championship, maybe not even top 5 based on how many races he's missed, but the races he has driven, he's made count. We talked to him earlier in tonight's race. He said all he needed to do was drive hard, capitalize on his opportunities, that it was going to be a race of attrition. He just needed to follow his instincts, and he has done that to a T. A driver who has finished on the podium upwards of 5 times in series history, but hasn't made it to the top step of the podium. Now, 3 turns to go. Tim Salvatore leads by 25 seconds. He's going to finally rip the Band-Aid off, make it to the top step of the podium, and he's going to do it in dominating fashion. Off of turn 4, back onto the apron, Tim Salvatore is a Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series winner at Homestead-Miami Road Course. What a drive from Tim Salvatore. Finally, the 91 gets it done. Congratulations to Tim Salvatore. We wait for a couple more drivers to finish up here. Nickerson and Skilton still running 2nd and 3rd as we speak. But just what a race for Tim Salvatore. Congratulations. We'll wait for the burnouts in just a moment. Back live, though, we're keeping an eye on Dan Skilton, who now comes through the final couple of turns. Not the race winner, so we'll take that graphic down. But off of the final turn, coming home for his first podium in series history, Dan Skilton brings it across the line to the 13 car. What a race, what a drive. We'll have our first ever interview with the driver of the number 13 tonight. Tanner Dignard will finish it off in 4th. Great run from the number 51. He's excited too. Great points to bring home with him. And he did not have an easy race whatsoever by his own right, but he definitely made the best of it there late. Same with Michael Nickel, who brings it home tonight in 5th as the sun continues to go down here at Homestead-Miami Road Course. David Lakey will bring it home there a lap down in 6th. Christopher Mitchell in 7th. Then it's Marshall Crocker Sr. in 8th. David Paxa brings it across in 9th. And Fred Zufelt, who initially seemed like he may go for a podium, maybe even a win, you know, considering how far up he was earlier in the race. He'll have to settle for 10th, but he did manage to bring home a top 10. And tonight, that is no small feat. But this is the man of the hour. Let's let Tim do his burnouts. Doing some kind of like rolling burnouts there, trying to get the back end tires to spin, but I don't know if he conserved them so well that he's unable to get them to spin. But here we go. Get ready, Tim. Come on, let's see some big burnouts here. Okay, he's parked it, so I guess we're not. Oh, I hear the engine. No, okay, no, I don't think we're gonna see him. So it was a great drive from start to finish for Tim Salvatore. Dan Skilton is gonna park it to his left, and hopefully the drivers remember to keep it on track. Nick Nickerson has left the server, so the honorary winner of the full send stay on track award for the night is Nick Nickerson. But no worries, we will still have the interview nonetheless. It's just always nice when guys remember to park it on track, that way we can show them on the broadcast. But nonetheless, race winner, Mr. Tim Salvatore, first in series history. Congratulations to Tim. We will talk to him in just a moment in the final interview of the night. But there he is. Everybody give your congratulations there in the chat to first-time race winner Tim Salvatore. There we go. We got some mentions for him in the chat. So, yes, amazing job tonight, Tim. Did absolutely everything he had to, and this has been it's been in the works for such a long time. But before we go to him in the final interview of the night, we first need to go to Dan Skilton, who again is in the broadcast booth for the first time in series history. His first career podium. I hope he's in the Discord chat, so he's available to talk to. Let's check the chat in just a moment. Where is Dan Skilton? He is ready. He is up there in the broadcast booth. So let's just get set up tonight for your final, your first interview of 3 tonight in just a moment. But first, let's go over your final results here at Homestead-Miami road course. That way, those of you whose driver did not finish on the podium, you have the option to, of course, enjoy the rest of your Sunday night if you wish. But of course, we got first-time podium sitter and a first-time winner. So stick around if you can. But here you go. Here are your finishing results for tonight's race at Homestead-Miami. Race winner, his first of his career, by 26 seconds over second place. Tim Salvatore finishes it off in style tonight at Homestead-Miami, ahead of Nick Nickerson, who comes home in second. Had some car damage, definitely some adversity to work through tonight, but he does finish in second. Ahead of Dan Skilton, first-time podium sitter in the 13, finishes in third. And that's Tanner Dignard and Michael Nicko rounding off the top 5. David Lakey brings it home for a very quiet but very impressive 6th position here at Miami, just ahead of Christopher Mitchell, who finishes in 7th. Marshall Crocker Sr. comes home in 8th, earned a spot there at the very end over Fred Zufelt, who came down pit road. Then it was David Paxa and Fred Zufelt running off the top 10 tonight. Andrew Bedrossian in the very first turn. He was already your race leader starting from second, but due to a number of wrecks and another wreck late there with Justin Lewick, Andrew Bedrossian finishes just ahead of Lewick in 11th. Justin Lewick in 12th. Jack Hillier in 13th. Trevor Anderson, championship contender. That is going to hurt both him and Andrew Bedrossian as he finishes in 14th tonight, just ahead of Mitch Morrow and James Donk, who left the race on the 17th lap. That is your final result from tonight's race at Miami. And now it is time for your first interview of the night with a first-time, podium setter, first-time interviewee, Mr. Dan Skilton. Hey, Dan, it's Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Hey, Mike check Dan, it's Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Hey, Dan, Mike check, you got a copy? Hey, Dan, Marshall Crocker in the Snowstorm booth, you got a copy? Okay, no luck as of yet. If we need to, we can hop away to your second interview and then come back to Dan for 3rd place. Hey, Dan, Marshall up in the broadcast booth, you got a copy? Okay, unfortunately, no luck as of yet with Dan, so we will hopefully try to get the interview with the first-time podium sitter, Mr. Dan Skilton, here in just a moment. He is in the Discord, but unfortunately is not responsive at the moment. So, well, we're instead going to jump to your second-place interview with Mr. Nick Nickerson, who comes home in 2nd, and then we'll jump back up to Dan Skilton if we are able in just a moment. But first, we're going to go to Nick Nickerson, who has had a number of podiums this season and adds to that tally tonight in a very difficult race here at Homestead where, he spent a lot of the race driving a car with virtually no front left wing. Let's bring Nick Nickerson in the broadcast booth for his first interview of the night. Well, second of the night. That was just wrong. But, second place, Nick Nickerson. Let's bring him in. Hey, Nick Marshall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
How's it going, man?
It's not going too bad here, Nick. And, well, we talked to you a little bit earlier in the race. At the time, you were trying to fight your way back through the field. You did. You went from 4th up to 1st, but unfortunately there, that mistake in the middle of the in the infield unfortunately cost you the chance at the win. So just talk to us what happened, what the issue was, and what was it like driving that car with damage at the very end of the race?
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't the only damage I had. Whenever, I think it was David Paxa, that's how you pronounce it. I think he, spun, and the whole field's kind of, got collected up. I think when he was trying to correct himself because he was backwards on the track, he, ran into the side of my car. And I never went in and got the damage repair because that would have been my last fast repair. So I was like, screw it, I have to save it at this point. So I thought the car was fine, but I could see in my lap times that, man, I was probably I don't know, 3-4 tenths off of what I was expecting. So that initial damage from, I think it was lap 12 or something, kind of set me up for failure at the end. And Tim was he had a clean ride and he had good laps, and there's nothing much I can do about it. And then, yeah, I went into that corner and it just kind of snapped on me. I don't know if it was because of that damage on 12 or what, but yeah, it just kind of snapped. I wasn't even really driving hard, so don't know what that was all about. But all in all, I mean, it's going to be good points. That's all that matters at this point, with the season coming to a close.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night in points for you. I mean, Andrew finishing back in 11th, Trevor all the way back in 14th. So you will take over the series points lead. I know that much. And it started off on a high because tonight you were the pole sitter for your first time this season. You've come close a number of times so far this year, but tonight you had the class of the field there. I think you took pole by a couple tenths of a second. So have you been slowly improving, you think, this season on a raw pace in the car? And just did everything seem to hook up tonight on that pole lap for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to kind of figure out the little quirks of how to drive this car. I don't know, I guess for instance, at least on this track, I was realizing that you can't take certain corners wide from say center to exit. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. There's just this kind of weird feeling that I feel in the steering wheel that if I kind of tighten up the exit a little bit, I can get on the throttle a lot sooner. Try not to spin that differential too much. It's giving me some good speed. And yeah, man, I mean, I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to play out in the next couple of races. I really wanted to see how fast of a lap I was going to run on an empty tank, because I didn't run at any practice with close to an empty tank. But unfortunately, I had that damage. So when we were light, I mean, I was still about a second or a second and a half off because of that nose wing damage. But yeah, man, I'm excited for the rest of the season to see where we're at. I feel like I got a little bit more pace than I was the first half here, so
yeah,
I'll in for this championship.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. And you again will become, I think, the 4th championship leader of the season. Of course, Trevor had it prior to Road America, and then Andrew took it over from him there, and now you take it back over from Andrew. You've got 4 races left. It's going to be next week, Indy Pro at Ohio. Or sorry, not Ohio. Ohio. It's going to be I'm blanking. Iowa. That's it. Thank you. So Indy Pro at Iowa. The week after, we go to Mosport in the Formula Renault. Then it is Formula Renault at Auto Club. And finally, we round off the season with the All-Star Race winner's pick. Hopefully the All-Star Race is going to get moved to next week of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Spa-Francorchamps, or Laguna Seca. With that schedule ahead, one more race in the Indy Pro. Is that a series of 4 tracks you think could play to your strengths as you try to defend the points lead rather than chase for it?
Yeah, I'm curious how Iowa is going to turn out, because you can't. It could be a pretty bumpy in certain sections of the 1 and 2. I think 3 and 4 is fairly pretty smooth, but I know 1 and 2, the high line is extremely bumpy, so that's not going to be a very viable place for driving, unless it is. I don't know. I have to try. Maybe these things has enough suspension to take some of those bumps. But yeah, that's kind of probably the wild card at that point, just because Iowa, I'm imagining we'll have to use a little bit of brakes later on when the tires start wearing out. Hopefully, we'll see. But the rest of them, road courses, we'll just have to see how they play out, man. Start getting some practice in. You're telling us that Mosport's going to be a wild ride. I'm looking forward to that one. Any track that's fast and technical, I think that's kind of in my wheelhouse. I love that stuff.
Yeah, the car is going to be on the bitter edge there at Mossport, so I think definitely one that'll play to your strengths quite well so far. But yeah, series points leader, Nick, for the second time this year, first time since you were the debut race winner back at Imola. So you've got a win, but now I think this is your 5th podium of the season. So it's been an extremely consistent season so far, and you're the points leader to show for it. But you are the first interview of the night tonight, as Dan was unavailable a moment ago. So for the first time tonight, any shout-outs for friends and family at home, sponsors you want to mention, anything like that, you know the deal.
Yeah, first off, congratulations to him, man. He had a flawless run on his part on that second half. He did steal, I think, fastest lap and most laps led from me. The points for those. A little bitter about that, but it was a good job for him. But just got to thank everybody that participates. It was kind of a rough race in the first half there, but we got going towards the second. And Marshall, man, appreciate your broadcast, man. It's always fun to watch.
Always a pleasure, and yeah, great to see you come over from Bandit. And I know the Bandit season's just getting started up in about a month, but as you come to the end of this season, get ready for that. Hopefully, you're able to balance the two, and being the series points leader, something I'm sure you're familiar with from that series, and hopefully going to be something you're pretty familiar with this season for the Bandit Racing League. So just finish the season on a high and keep doing what you're doing. And I would not be surprised if we're talking to you as the final interview once again sometime in the near future.
Yeah, awesome, man. I'll appreciate it, and hopefully I'll talk to you next week.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan.
All right, take care.
See ya. There you go. First interview of the night, and one of two, it would appear. Unfortunately, Dan Skilton has left the broadcast room, so unfortunately, it looks like we won't get an interview with Dan Skilton tonight. But Dan, if you're watching, congratulations, man. First podium in series history, and you did it in such impressive fashion, just such consistently well-paced from start to finish fashion. So it is unfortunately tough that we won't get an interview with him, but we will get an interview with race winner and first in series history. He's been with us for 2 seasons now. That was probably his maybe 22nd, 23rd race. But tonight, Tim Salvatore picks up his first of his career in the series. Mr. Tim Salvatore is tonight's race winner, and now we are ready for his final interview of the night here at Homestead-Miami. Let's get him in the broadcast booth. Mr. Tim Salvatore, does Marshall up in the broadcast booth? You got a copy?
Hey, Marshall, how's it going tonight?
It is going great. Tim, first career race win in the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series, and you do it in dominating fashion. You take the margin of victory of 26 seconds to the bank, and I know there was some late race adversity for Nick. That incident that happened for him in turn number 3. He made a mistake, but you were flawless at the end. What was it like running right behind Nick there, putting the pressure on and trying to drive home smooth sailing? Were you just in absolute cruise control in the last 20 laps?
Yeah, it was just taking care of the car after Nick had his incident. It was unfortunate for him. Really sucks, rather fight it out on track than have him spin in that corner. I know that's an unbelievably tough corner, and sometimes the rear end just goes and it's no warning, so it's nothing that he could have done differently. It just sometimes it just happens. He didn't get very lucky, and I was able to take advantage of it, and so yeah, it was a nice lucky win, but I know I had the pace there. It would have just been nice to actually battle it out with him. Yeah,
no doubt. The pace was there regardless, and I think with the pace you were catching him there and those a couple laps before he spun, I don't think a pass for the lead would have been particularly, no, I wouldn't say not difficult, but not out of the question whatsoever for you. But Tim, 2 seasons in the series, you joined us at the start of the Snowstorm series last year. You run a really great season, a very competitive points season as far as that goes. You've had a number of podiums, but tonight you finally get the luck to go your way, and you find yourself as a race winner. Just to kind of talk about the journey from the start of the season up till now, do you think you've really improved as a driver? And how is the Tim that we see tonight getting his first race win compared to the Tim we saw at the beginning of last season joining the series?
No doubt that I have a heck of a lot more pace than last year, but since the beginning of this year, I felt like I've had the pace to win any race that I've entered, and even some of the races that I didn't enter that I was able to practice with, but wasn't able to compete in. But yeah, it felt like at any point in time, I've had the pace to win. Just unfortunately, winning takes a little bit of skill, but it takes a little bit of luck as well. So the luck just wasn't there. Maybe some bonehead moves on my part as well, and it kind of got a little bit of luck tonight and helped me get the win there.
Well, Tim, I mean, again, we talked about it in the interview a little bit earlier in the race. Unfortunately, not going to be a season where you're able to compete for the championship just due to the overall race count. I think if you'd made it to every race this season, absolutely you'd be in contention. And tonight was not a great night for some of the championship contenders, both Andrew and Tim finishing outside of the top 10. But again, you pick up a good chunk of points tonight, and with 4 races left to go in the season, there's still plenty you can do to put yourself maybe even top 5, top 6, with probably 3 or 4 races down from the lead pack. So next week we go to, again, Iowa in the Indy Pros, our final Indy Pro race of the season. We've done less than anticipated, but it'll be our final of the year. And then, of course, you're unfortunately missing Mosport. But then the week after, we're back to the ovals there at Homestead-Miami, or not Homestead-Miami, Auto Club in this very same car. So with the ovals, the way we've been going this season, do you find that those races are going to suit your driving style a little bit more than the road courses will going forward, and just in the series in general? And do you think maybe these races are a little bit more, maybe more or less random, maybe more or less up to chance, you think, than the ovals?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anytime we come to a road course, it really separates the talent level. It's the cream always rises to the top. At the road courses, it's kind of a little bit more of a mixed bag at the ovals, and we've got some oval specialists who are really good at that. I'm not one of them, but I feel like I can at least stand my ground just in basically just thinking my way through it and using strategy at the ovals. But they're still really tough in this car. It's all about kind of getting lucky, I think, with wrecks and car positioning at the ovals. So hopefully I'm able to get a little bit more luck. I got some tonight, and maybe there's some more due for me this season, and then I'll be happy to get back to some road courses after that.
Awesome. Well, tonight, Tim, it was so amazing again to call that last lap as you came around, and to see you finally come off turn 14 and know that inevitable bad luck that we've seen so many times for at the ovals particularly, but we've seen it a couple times at the road courses, wasn't going to come up tonight. Finally, things even out, and you were a series race winner. I think the 7th or 8th in history. There certainly haven't been a surprisingly small number, but now you get started to work your way up the all-time leaderboard, and I would not be surprised if we see a couple more wins from you for the rest of the season. But you know what to do, and it's your first time doing it as the final interview of the night tonight. But any shout-outs you want to give, friends, family watching at home, watching your first win tonight, any sponsors you want to mention, any shout-outs you want to give, now's your time to do so.
Yeah, felt really good. Thanks for putting the series on, Marshall, and as always, thanks to Canadian Mini Indy for sponsoring the series. Just thanks to everybody who's watching at home and commenting and everything. It's always fun to go back and watch it again and hear you broadcast it, and then also see the comments. It's pretty cool. Much appreciated. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again next week.
Awesome, we will indeed. Thank you very much, Tim, and again, congratulations, first career win, and probably the most well-deserved first career win of anybody in the field. So way to go. Keep the momentum going next week at Iowa.
Thank you.
There you go. First career win for that man, Mr. Tim Salvatore, driver the number 91. What a race from him tonight for start to finish. And again, that feels great. That is so great to see for a guy that, again, has come so close so many times. And to finally see it pay off for him tonight, well, that is what we like to see as both a series coordinator and a commentator, because it made for a great race, made for a great story. But as a guy who's put together races for Tim and a number of drivers for a couple seasons, to see a guy who puts in the time in practice week after week, comes out almost every race, to see him get his first career win is awesome to see from my perspective. So congratulations again to Tim. There once again are your final results, and well, we'll keep it pretty quick to the end here, because well, it's been a bit of a long night tonight, and as always, I know it's getting busy this time of year for a lot of people out there, and I'll try to give you your weekend back as quick as I can. But we got a couple sponsors we got to mention, so we'll put the final results up there one more time just so you can see where your favorite driver finished if you have not checked as of yet. But we just want to give a shout out to a couple sponsors here. First of all, CanadianMiniIndy.com, up above Virtual Marshall's head. They are the biggest supporter of our series. Again, unfortunately, I haven't been able to get info for them for some weekend postings to try to get the link out to people, besides those of you that tune in each Sunday for the usual race events. But thank you for everything they do. Again, if you were in the Hamilton, Ontario area, you're looking to get your career started as a Canadian racing driver, you're looking to start and even just arrive and drive karts, where I've run for upwards of 10 seasons, or if you're looking to get into higher levels of karting where you can work your way up to a real racing career, or just run in an ultra competitive series of karts that can absolutely head into the 20s and 30s, and it's super competitive, plenty of drivers to compete against, and that can be a great outlet for all the real life racing I'm sure that many of you have wanted to do if you haven't got the chance to. So CanadianMiniIndy.com, that's your place to go. Check it out. It's where me and so many of these drivers in this series are from, and that's where our backgrounds come from. So thank you to them as always for supporting the series, and we are so happy to have them on board with us. But besides that, we want to thank evanwallmedia.com down below. His link is, as always, in the description below. evanwallmedia.com does a variety of graphics work, including making all the visuals you see on screen for this very series. We want to thank Evan for everything he does and has done in the past and will continue to do. And he does a variety of things. I know he's very busy right now with a lot of production stuff, but he does paint schemes, custom numbers, anything you can imagine. Go check out evanwallmedia.com if you're interested in some of his services and just to support him for everything he does for our series. Finally, on the bottom left, Full Send Racing Network. That is the channel you're watching on. Again, I will never ask for people to subscribe or like the videos, but it always does help. It always does support the channel in some meaningful way, and it genuinely does mean a lot when I see some positive comments or some likes on the video, and it's always great. So again, support if you feel like you'd like to, but it is always your choice. So sincerely thank you for everything you guys do to support the series, and hopefully, again, it's been a busy couple weeks for me, but next week as we come up to hopefully a doubleheader with Iowa in the All-Star race, we'll try to get as many drivers back as we can. We'll get you some new graphics. We'll make sure we get the post on the weekend there, and be sure to tune in next Sunday, everybody, for what is going to be a really fun final Indy Pro Oval race of the year. If you haven't seen last season's Iowa Indy Pro race, go check that out in the series videos for the old season of the Snowstorm series in a playlist on the channel to go check out last season's race. But here's the schedule for the rest of the year. Only 4 races left to go if you don't include the All-Star race. Iowa next week on March 6th. March 13th, we go to the only Canadian track on the schedule, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, one that many drivers are familiar with. Many have even carded at, not the layout we use for this series, but at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in the Ontario area. Then Auto Club Speedway on the 20th of March, and to round off the season, we go to the All-Star Race winners pick of those 3 tracks on March 27th, and that'll round off our season just in time for the Bandit Racing League's season number 10, which will debut on this channel, I believe that same week, on the last week of March. So that will about round it off tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching what has been another great race tonight in the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series, as far as one of the most competitive races we've seen in a long time from start to finish. We had some cautions that made things interesting, and we have a new race winner. Congratulations to Tim Salvatore. Congratulations to all the drivers who had great races tonight. Dan Skilton on his first career podium, and thank you each and every one of you guys for watching. Thank you to Chris Ferraro, our race director, and that will do it. We'll see you all back next Sunday on the very same channel for the 9th round of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series 2nd season, presented by Full Send Racing Network. Have a great week, everybody, and we will see you back next Sunday at the very same time. Well, I will warn you right now, the graphic is about to say next week at Miami. We're going to Iowa, everybody, so next week's going to be Iowa. Have a great week, and we will see you all very soon.